But yeah, how have you guys been in the past few days? Connor,
Good, yeah.
you've been taking care of your parents, right?
I have, yeah.
Your
How's that
parents'
been?
first time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's their first time in Japan.
Hello everyone, I'm Connor's dad.
Why are you talking like you're at a conference?
I don't know.
Family's coming in. I was showing Dad there.
Hi everybody, we're in Japan at the moment, visiting Connor for the first time. Great.
Every time anything happened, I was like, oh, I'll tell that on the podcast. And they were like, don't say that on the podcast.
Why have there been like already some embarrassing
like,
stories?
it's just like, you know, my parents, because like I think a lot of people who travel to Japan, especially our age, like they like are already kind of into Japan and already have like researched a bunch.
Yeah.
They don't get normally like just dragged here, and even like people who like want to visit here will normally like look up stuff to do or will look up something, and so my parents kind of like, even though they are interested in Japan and they were really excited for the trip, like they didn't like research. They weren't like, oh my god, what's onsen etiquette, or oh my god, how should I?
well, they don't have to because you're
Yeah. And like I realized, oh my god, I have to explain everything.
right.
Whereas like sometimes if friends come over, it's like, okay, I don't have to explain everything, and they can get around well. Like they didn't know anything.
Yeah, like most people who visit here kind of have their own motives already, right?
Yeah, like they figured stuff out, and
Yeah.
they maybe planned the trains and stuff. But you know, I think everything kind of sounded overwhelming when I like told them. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just figure it out. So like I booked them a taxi from Narita to take them to the hotel, which is like 2 hours.
Right.
It's really
It's an
long.
expensive
It's
taxi.
very
trip.
expensive for me.
Yeah.
I'm paying it.
Wait, why didn't you just throw them on the Narita Express?
Oh, because I was like, man, then they're gonna be overwhelmed.
Absolutely. First time in Asia, of having to figure it out.
Like,
Oh, it's the first time in Asia.
Yeah.
first time in Asia.
Oh, shit,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And I think there's still that like, and I realize that everyone has this where you're like, oh no, it's like English will be okay, right? Like, and it's like, well, no, it won't be okay.
Maybe on the Narita Express will
Yeah.
be okay, but
Like, it's like, I'm sure, like, this is not me being like, all right, it's not about, do I think they could figure it out? Yeah, they could figure it out. But it's like, all right, do I really want to put that stress on them right away? Where it's like, okay, I could just get them a cab and I'll front the cost. And then all they have to do is just look for the guy with the name. And then apparently somehow that fucked up too, because it was like 4 a.m. because we were in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I was making sure that when they landed, I was like, hey, did you get in the cab okay? Is it all good? And they were like, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. And I was going to go to sleep when I knew they got to the hotel and they could finally, like, you know, rest. And then I wouldn't have to worry then about, you know, because I booked the hotel. I booked everything. Everything is all booked by me. And I was like, I just didn't want like a fuck up where maybe I put the name wrong or something, you know.
Well, Connor did actually fuck up. Because I remember because his parents, it's not just his parents that have come along, but we have a friend from England who's flown all the way here that I think landed on the same day as your parents.
Two days after.
2 days after?
Yeah.
Okay. But like, I remember thinking, I remember Connor was like mentioning, oh yeah, I'm going to come back from Hawaii, then pick my parents up. And I was like, wait a minute. I was checking the dates because I was having to make sure of the dates of when our friend lands as well. I was like, wait a minute. Connor mentioned his parents come back on this day, but we fly back from Hawaii the day after.
That was the one thing I did fuck up.
time zones be annoying.
I'm like, does Connor realize this or?
I did realize that, and I told my parents that, but then I didn't tell my friend that. So it's kind of like a miscommunication because there's just so many things to keep
And
track
his friend is still stuck in Narita.
Like I'm keeping track of like 3 people, and then myself, which is already I'm not good at keeping track of.
Yeah.
So I got them a taxi, and I'm in the Hawaii hotel room, and then they're like, "Oh, we think the taxi driver is going the wrong way." I'm like, "I don't think the taxi driver would go the wrong way." I gave them the address.
How would your parents know?
I don't know, because they're just freaking out because
Right.
they just haven't been to it, and everything's new, and the taxi driver doesn't speak any English because of course they don't speak English, and so they call me up and they're like, I think the taxi driver, they're talking to me in Welsh, and my mum calls me in Welsh. She's like, I don't think they know where to go.
Yeah.
And I replied in English. I was like, Mum, I don't think they can speak English. I don't think you need to speak to me in Welsh.
Your mom's trying to be like discreet
Yeah,
about it.
discreet. I'm like, but you don't need to worry about it. Like, they don't and even if they did speak English, they wouldn't understand like British English.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're good.
Yeah.
And so they hand me the phone. I'm like, okay, fine. Okay. They're like, yeah, we think the taxi driver's going the wrong way. I'm like, I think it's fine. So they hand the phone to the taxi driver, and the taxi driver sounds like a young woman, and she just sounded like terrified that I think my parents had just shoved the phone to her, and then some weird guys talking in Japanese to her. And so I was like, hey.
Here's your ransom calling.
I was like, hey, my parents are just kind of nervous. Do you have the address? And she just sounded like utterly panicked by that question. And I was like, all right then. she was like freaking out. You can imagine how it is.
Of course, yeah.
She sounded very flustered and very panicked. And I was like, all right then. And I was like, I'll just hand it back. So I handed it back and I was like, yeah, she knows where she's going. I didn't know. I was like, she must do. Like,
Meanwhile, everyone in that cab is sweating.
I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm sure she knows. And of course, she knew where she was going.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so stupid. But then, and then I think it proceeded to be like, all right, let's, every little thing where I'm not there, they would like worry about it and then like double check with me. And so the first day we had to, do we have to record Trash Station? No, I had to do something. I had to do a live stream.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, just go here for lunch, walk around. And so they're walking around and they're texting me stuff. And they're like, oh, we found like a cafe to drink. And they sent me a picture. And my God, it looks like the shittiest cafe in all of Japan. It has an outside terrace. And it's let me show you a picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like unfair to even call this a terrace.
Did they not just think to like walk into like a Starbucks?
I think they didn't want to go to Starbucks. And also, I think they were also like, look at this. Dinky looking ass.
That doesn't even look like a cafe.
I think and this is something that I've learned, and I know this because I had the same thing myself, is that like it is super intimidating in Japan for people who've never gone to Japan or Asia in general to imagine having to go into a building without being able to see it immediately what's inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think for them, my parents, it was like, okay, well, terrace equals I can kind of see what's going on. And then there's also hundreds of miscommunications they keep telling me about where they're like, my mom is obsessed with cider as a British woman. She just wants to drink cider.
Like alcoholic cider.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't exist in Japan.
No.
And in America, it's called hard cider.
Yeah.
But in here, it's like, what do they call it when it's cider?
Cider.
Cider. But then there's also normal cider, which is...
Cider.
Right. So you can imagine with my mom's pronunciation that it doesn't... But even... This is just assuming... Because she's like, oh, do you have cider? And like, yes, we have cider. And they bring up
Ginger ale.
ginger ale.
Yeah, just apple
like,
juice.
What the fuck? And so this has been a constant frustration with my mom, where I'm always just like, every single place we go to, she's like, do they have cider? I'm like, Mom, they don't have cider. I'll tell you when they have cider, Mom, which is never, because they won't ever have it.
They are, like, ironically enough, the only place in Japan that has cider are British pubs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That you probably find more chance of getting a cider at a hub. You know?
Oh my God, imagining your parents in a hub.
They'd be like, oh, this is really nice.
But no, I mean, I get it, right? Because I remember when I first moved to Japan, right? There's a big barrier you have to get past in terms of like just going into a restaurant and committing to opening the door.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
it's so terrifying.
Yeah. Because once you
I hate
commit
it now, like I still do it, but there's that millisecond.
I mean,
like,
I
God,
hated it and I could speak the language.
because you're like, once you open a door, you're like, fuck, I've committed to like sitting down at this.
Yeah, I don't want to be the arsehole that immediately turns around.
Yeah, I've had to become, because I was at some point I've been showing my friend with my parents around at the same time,
Right.
Yeah.
and it means that like, and they all love drinking, so
Yeah.
I've had to become the vibe checker, which means I have to. You just have to walk into a narrow building on like the 5th floor of some really sketchy looking thing, and I have to pop my head in and be like, oh, no, sorry, not this place. And then go out, and it's really awkward. And like my dad as well, he loves beer, and every single time when we get a beer, he's like, "What beer is it?" I'm like, I've never known.
It's Nama.
It's the draft one. He's like, "Which one is it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I've never questioned it in 3 years. It just always comes out tasting good." So I've noticed every time he asks me, I'm just like, "I just don't know.
Just drink it. It's beer. It's fine.
I'm like, every single time he likes the beer. And
Has to ask them.
It's just like it's very fun taking them around, but after like multiple days of this, I'm getting the same question. I'm like, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind being asked these questions over and over again. But it's been fun. They love the bullet trains. Everyone seems to love bullet trains as well. Every foreign person.
I think people from outside Japan just like find that concept so insane.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think like China is the only other country that has trains that go that fast.
Yeah.
I think no, Europe has high speed rail.
Oh, does
too.
it?
Yeah, I don't think it's. as nearly as well connected,
Yeah.
or run on time, or because I think like 1 million people a day use the Shinkansen, which is like
Yeah.
insane amounts of.
Well, I think
people.
it's also just like, I wouldn't say like the marketing, but like the prestige, because it was definitely like one of the first and one of the most famous, right?
Yeah.
It was the Japanese bullet train.
Yeah.
Like this is when like Japan was in the height of.
Like when you think Japan, you think the bullet train.
yeah, this is when Japan was like the height of the center of technology.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, they loved it.
Yeah, and that image is just like stayed, because even my parents, right? I asked my mom and dad when they come to Japan, what do you want to do? My dad's like, take me on the bullet train. I was like, that's out of
where?
out of everything. That's what you want to do. Oh, okay, Dad. Okay, he's just like, I'm excited for the bullet train.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
It's not about the destination; it's about the journey.
yeah, exactly. That is the destination.
The bullet train's great. It's
Yeah.
great. Seeing when the train leaves at 9:57, I can tell them, look at the clock. When it turns 9:57, the train's going.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite thing. To
It is
do.
fun. I'm like,
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah,
When it
it's
turns
gonna
9:57.
come right now.
Like literally, the doors close and go 9:57. I'm like, that's sick. That's awesome. I mean, they love that. My dad is fascinated by it. He loved all that. They like it so far. Like in most of the food they like. I've made them try pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And they
Are they like generally okay with like food? Like, is their food palette wide or?
I thought it was like non-existent.
Right.
So I thought they weren't going to eat anything.
Right.
But then they've eaten everything. Like
Oh, that's good.
We went out for dinner and
Yeah.
this one place
had, like-
only served like raw meat.
Yeah, it was
And-
basically a place that specialized in raw meats and fish. And we realized that after sitting down, and like half the menu was just like raw horse meat, raw beef,
Oh, yeah.
baby shrimp, and every kind of raw meat
What's
under the
there's a
sun.
little baby-looking squid thing that's common in spring in Japan, and that was the appetizer that came out.
Baby
and it
squid.
just looks like
Oh
a
yeah,
full-on
yeah.
squid.
like hotaruika. Yeah.
Yeah, shrunken down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was like the first thing my parents had. It was kind of different. And they were like, I was like, try it.
They're coming in like Dark Souls
Yeah,
level.
And
yeah.
To their credit, they ate one of them. They didn't
no,
like it.
they did try.
At least they tried it.
I was impressed. I
Yeah.
thought no shot
That's
my
points-
parents
yeah,
would,
respect,
would
yeah.
eat it and swallow it. They didn't,
Yeah.
they didn't spit a single thing out.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
I
brilliant.
took them to a sushiro as well because I was like, because I'm going to take them to a nice
The
sushi.
finest Japanese.
Yeah.
So my thing was, I wanted them to try dirt cheap sushi, and so like this is what it should taste like.
Yeah.
like this is like compared to the UK.
Have they
Yeah.
had
This is-
UK sushi before?
Yeah, they have.
Did they like it?
I think they liked it. Yeah, but
Okay.
I mean, again, it's
Well,
very
they'll never eat it
westernized.
again after
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And like it was very westernized, but I couldn't, I mean, when I go to sushi or something, I don't try any of the fucking crazy stuff. I just get the standard.
Oh,
meal,
no,
or
no.
I'll get like.
I'm not having the fucking hamburger sushi.
No,
Yeah,
no, fuck that
Yeah,
shit.
fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like they were like, yeah, it's nice. It's like, I don't think they like loved it. I think
Yeah.
they pretty much enjoyed
But
it.
they recognize that it's like even the
Yeah,
the minimum here is better than anything in the
Yeah,
UK.
my mom
right?
kept saying, "Oh, it's not. It doesn't smell fishy." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah."
Yeah.
And then tempura they liked. We went to a really nice tempura
Oh,
restaurant.
hell
There's
yeah.
one
Dude,
that-
yeah.
Foreigners love tempura.
I mean, it's just fried food, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
of course they would love
Yeah.
it. What's not to like about fried food?
Well, I mean, I gave there's this tempura restaurant in Kyoto called it's called Tempura and or something. Chris took me to it because it was like this is the most Chris way of telling. Yeah, Endo Yasaka.
Yeah.
It's really famous in Kyoto, and Chris took
Yeah.
me there. And the way Chris sold me on it, because it's like $200 a course.
Damn.
It's crazy. Chris was like, no. It was Steve Jobs' favorite restaurant in all of Osaka, in all of Kyoto. And I was like,
my
well,
God.
shit, it's good enough for Steve. It's good enough for me. So I think it's really good, to be fair. It's
Yeah.
like they give you like 15 pieces of tempura and
Right.
stuff, and they loved all of it. Because they give you like shrimp head as well, where all the tail and stuff. all the
yeah,
arms.
yeah.
And that's like, I fucking love that
Yeah,
shit.
hell yeah.
And it's kind of like, all right, try it. Don't judge. Just eat everything. Again, they loved it all except for uni, sea urchin, which none of us like.
That is
Yeah.
that is a hard bargain. Yeah.
It's
It's
a
tough.
love or hate kind
Yeah.
of thing. It is the Marmite of Japan.
It's
Now,
so-
I'm slowly starting to find out now.
And, Eugene came with us as well. And Eugene
Yeah.
tried our friend of ours.
Did you like uni?
No, he hated it. And he immediately texted Maylene saying, hey,
Yeah.
I don't like sea urchin. And then Maylene responded, oh, you probably didn't have good sea urchin. I'm like,
the most melee
I'm
response
like,
ever.
what do you mean? We're in like one of the best fucking restaurants in Kyoto. What do you mean we do good?
Melee's like, is it Michelin star? Then?
Yeah.
Just my weekly slander.
Yeah, quite a feel.
Okay, so tried So we were in. Okay, so I'll tell you what we did first of all.
Yeah, where did you take them?
So did like I thought because I haven't got like super long because like we're still working.
Yeah.
Right? Like I just got off the bullet train from bringing them back and I'd come straight here to record. So I wanted to make kind of a densely packed like 4 or 5 days of
No
tours.
girls bar, I hope.
No girls bar, sadly.
That's only Sydney's family.
That's a
dude.
Sydney thing,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, that's a tough sell. I also realized that like maybe because Sydney's family is probably a lot more outgoing than my family. Like they'd probably be able to interact themselves. Whereas for me, it was like I had to translate everything, and I don't even understand everything 100% of the time. Right?
Just imagining your family at a fucking girls' bar is the funniest thing
We
ever.
went to some really weird bars that I was insistent on going to because I thought it'd be a really fun experience. And they turned out pretty fun. So the first day we went to, there's like an onsen winery thing that I think we've talked about before in Niigata. So I took them to there and they loved that. That was great.
Yeah.
Wait, did they go in the onsen?
They did, yeah.
Hey!
Did it take a lot of convincing?
No, they were. I just kind of
awesome.
like, just didn't tell them anything about anywhere we were going to. I was like, I could tell you, but it's not going to mean anything.
Yeah,
I told them, I was like, hey, go in the spa, do it. Here we go, have fun. And I think they were definitely shy about it, but I think they enjoyed
Of course.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like a hot spring? It's nice.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
And then the food there is really good and stuff. It's lovely. If you ever get a chance to go, I forgot what it's called. Just Google Niigata Winery Onsen. It's chill.
Yeah.
You should check it out. It's awesome.